I want to show you something really cool for a moment to help you understand manifestation. Imagine this outer ring is actually you. And this outer ring is consciousness. This is just a drawing. Don't take this too seriously. Now, inside this ring, there are these different kind of... It's like a mechanism. It's a bit like a filter system. And the primary thing that you're looking through, right? You could be looking through this lens, and it will change everything that you see. The problem is most people identify with the lens, and they identify with the thing that they are seeing, which is the manifestation. No building was ever constructed that first preceded thought. No decision was ever made that first preceded an emotion. So people think the things outside of themselves are them themselves. They get immersed and attached to certain things. They identify with them. And in a sense, these things, the manifestations, are indeed extensions of identity. But we tend to make this whole thing itself the identity. That could be labels. That could be narratives, especially stories, frames, the rules of the game. And the lens itself, you're kind of confined to each lens. But the thing is, you are a faceless, formless awareness. And if you want to change the manifestation, all you have to do is literally change the code. Look through a completely different lens. Law of attraction lens, system and principles thinking lens, attachment style theory lens, borderline personality disorder lens, ADHD lens. None of these things are actually real per se. Objectively, things exist, but it is the subjectiveness that you have a lot of control over. And if you realize that you are this conscious, faceless, formless awareness, and you are none of these things, then all you have to do to change your manifestation is just simply change your state of consciousness. And what is your state of consciousness? It is summarized in this way. It's basically the alignment of your thoughts, emotions, actions. That's keeping it very simple. Beliefs, which behind the thoughts and the feelings. Paradigms, which are the same thing. Paradigm and belief systems, so how everything connects. You change all those, you change the lens, everything else changes. You change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. That's a quote by Wayne Dyer. How true is that? Now you are this, you're always consciousness. You can never actually change this. When you die, who knows what happens next? But that's what you really are. And this is what I do for my work. This is what I do as myself, as a relationship coach, mentor, instructor. This is how I look at the world. I literally look at the world this way. I am fluid in my approach. I am fixed but flexible. No, not fixed but flexible. I'm firm but flexible. And here's another major problem that a lot of people don't realize they're in. They look through the fixed lens. And actually, did you know you can actually look through more than one lens at the same time? It's a bit like having some lights. You can turn one light off, turn another on, and you can literally look at different things from multiple perspectives. And some of these different lights, they are like dials. You can crank up the heat, turn up the brightness on some of these and dim them down. And this is what I do. And what I like to instruct is that if you're going to do anything like this at all, you need to be conscious and aware about what you're doing. You don't just go throwing shit at the wall per se. You don't necessarily just go swinging your sword because there's a bad guy in front of you. If you're going to swing, you swing deliberately, right? Just like in a video game. If you're going to dodge roll, you dodge roll intentionally for a purpose. If you get struck and you die and you have to go back to respawn, then that's how it works. But you've got to do it all intentionally. None of this should be happening by accident. And the thing is, a lot of us are operating this way by accident. Some more so than others. Some of us are operating much more consciously than others. And the people who are very, 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 very conscious, they can be very selective. Some of these people are seen as assholes. Some of these people can be seen as narcissistic, the rich especially, because the rich understand this more. One of my favorite, I suppose, lenses that I personally like to look through is the anti-lens, which basically means that you look at the opposite of what lens you're currently looking at, right? That's the sun, that's the moon. But did you know you can actually have an antithesis to an antithesis? So you've got that, you got that, you got that, you got that. And it can actually go infinitely longer than that. But this is the idea. And I personally like to describe this as being an anti-mirror, a mirror within a mirror. I also like to, in my lenses, I like to balance things out. So there's a scale here. It's a pretty horrible looking scale. So I'll just balance that out. But a lot of the time, when it comes to judgments, people stack a lot of opinions and judgments on one side of the scale with having very little to say on another side. I like to be as balanced as possible in my approach because I understand that both the light and the dark exist and both have their purpose. And if one purpose is going to override another, then we want that to be by deliberate choice, not by accident. And if you are going to choose to put more weights on a certain scale, then we want to do that by deliberate choice, not by accident. So for me, the other day, I said, you know what? You want to turn your narcissism scale onto low heat instead of off. You want it to turn it on to like 1%. Deliberately. And you don't want it to be fluctuating. You don't want it to be fluctuating uncontrollably. Anyway, I just have this image in my mind, and mechanically, this is how I look at the world. That's how I do it. And this is sort of what I could teach if you were to work with me one-on-one. Or you could just get my practical guidance and instruction. And I'll see if I can provide you a different perspective in moving forward with your romantic life.